Hello.
Hello. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody who's listening. You're too excited to talk, aren't you? We got a big one.
It's a big one today. You know, we always say it's a big one. It's a big one.
We've lied every point up until right now.
Exactly that. And I feel like Georgie can take this one because she is the DIY queen.
I was going to say, Beth doesn't DIY anything.
I'm not that kind of DIY gal, but...
You won't even paint your own nails. So this whole episode is about DIY, so I reckon we just get started.
Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be upstanding and welcome
The Unfiltered Bride podcast, tips from the top table and beyond.
so you know it's going to be juicy.
So who's our episode sponsor today then?
It is one of our favourites. It is Richard Parsons, the Gloucestershire magician.
Does anyone remember when I said I hated magic? And then I totally changed my mind after seeing Rich. It's not like the magic that you picture when people say there's a magician at a wedding. It's so much more.
I have worked loads of weddings with Rich and obviously had him at my own wedding, so I am slightly biased, but I just think it's so good. It suits all age groups, stops guests getting bored, breaks the ice, and just generally a great addition to a wedding.
You had it during the drinks reception and it worked really well. No offence. No one noticed you were gone.
Wow. It also works really nicely to fill that gap after the wedding breakfast.
The magic I've seen him do is cool. It's like close-up magic. Lots of card tricks, but he's also really funny and gets involved with the guests.
Richard Parsons has over 16 years of experience and literally thousands of weddings under his belt. He's also a member of the Magic Circle and despite the name, travels anywhere in the UK. And don't just take our word for it. With over 100 5-star Google reviews, I think he speaks for himself.
I would highly recommend checking out his Instagram at @glossmagician and definitely get in touch soon if you're looking to upgrade your wedding.
So I feel like I can't fully take credit for DIYing, and I feel like we can't talk about DIY weddings without bringing on the Queen of Craft, Sara Davies. Thank you so much for coming.
Woo!
Oh, I love getting to come into somewhere and being introduced as the Queen of Craft.
You've earned that.
Come on, that is like got to be the best accolade ever.
Yeah, that's
Take
a good
it.
one. Yeah, take it and run with that. You can
I'm
have that.
totally taking it.
So you were the youngest ever female investor on Dragon's Den, but tell me how you went from girl in Durham to Dragon's Den queen.
Oh, do you know, it's a cracking story.
Go on.
So,
I haven't got a cup of tea.
oh, I've got one. Right, so people always say to me, well, how do you get to be on Dragon's Den? It turns out you just ring the BBC and ask if you can be a dragon.
Stop it.
I
Hold
kid
on.
you not.
Wait,
No.
BBC are going to be like, cut that
No.
out. Cut that out.
But
Just ring them up and ask.
yeah, but do you have to be able? Do you have to say, by the way, I'm really successful. Here's my bank account.
Well, actually, believe it or not, I suppose you probably see me and think, oh, she's this super confident person. I wasn't actually confident enough to ring myself. So
Okay.
if I backtrack a little bit
Yeah.
and give you a bit of context. So I started my business when I was 21. I started investing in my early 20s and I was part of an all-female investment group in the Northeast called Gabriel Investors. That's the kind of investment background. And then I've done TV all my life, but my whole career pretty much, but shopping telly. So there's a huge difference between shopping telly and proper telly, let's just say, okay? But anyway, a friend of mine, we were round, he was around my house one weekend and we were chatting about it and we were chatting about how much I love Dragon's Den. And he said, you would be brilliant on Dragon's Den because like you've got the investment experience, you've got the TV experience. And I was like, yeah, I totally would. Like,
Were you
I
drunk
would
at this
love
point?
that. No, totally sober. But I was like, yeah, I would love that. And he said, well, why don't you like apply? And I said, you don't just apply to be on the Den. I said, when I'm older, they might
So how
spot
old were
me
you
and
at this
ask me.
point?
So I was like 32.
Okay.
And I was like, when I'm older. And he's like, whoa, let me stop you there. Why do you have to be older? I said, well, because the dragons are always significantly older than me. I'm choosing my words really carefully now.
They
if
old.
any of them are listening.
They won't
right?
listen to the end, will they? We'll get them on here.
So I felt like I had to be older and then maybe the BBC would just find out randomly that I knew about investing and you might just ask me. And he said, this is ridiculous. So he said, you should just ring them. And I said, well, you can't just ring them. So lo and behold, that was a Saturday night we had the conversation. Monday morning, he rings the BBC. Now, he didn't just ring the switchboard and ask to speak to somebody on Dragon's Den. He went through the process as though he was applying to be a dragon.
Okay.
Sorry, as though he was applying to be a contestant.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then when he got through to the researcher, he said, actually, I'm not really looking to come on the show. I want to tell you all about my friend. She is epic. She would be a brilliant dragon.
Why have you
Totally
never rang the
did herself.
BBC for me?
It's like, you know,
You're a
it's
shit mate.
like it's like
That's
when you
told
get,
Beth.
so when you get your mum to ring you for the doctors, doesn't it?
Could she just book a smear test, please?
So when people say to me, how do you become a dragon? Turns up, you just get your mate to ring the BBC and ask.
I actually can't wait for all the complaints BBC are going to give us now.
Tell us to stop telling people you just have to ring up. I wonder
I
if I can
mean, I
ring up
did
for
go
something else.
through, there was, then I got put into a pool. She said, your timing's perfect because we were recruiting a female. Jenny Campbell had just stepped down. So they were recruiting for a female dragon at the time. They were in the interview stage. They kind of shoehorned me into the last minute interviews. So I was in like a group of, there was 20 or so shortlisted, got down to the last few. But then when I remember coming down to London for that screen test, and I was just like, oh my God, I love this. I love this so much. I want to do this so badly. The thought of being a dragon, and then when it's that close within your grasp, and it's everything I hoped it would be and more.
Is it? Can I ask a really personal question?
Go on.
Do you get to pick your chair?
Maybe if you're Deborah Mead and you do.
Okay.
Turns out when you're Sara Davies, you don't.
You get what you're given.
However, I've just finished filming my 5th series, and they caught me sitting in Stephen's chair one day, and it was just because his is the most comfortable chair. It's got like a nice hardback on it and whatnot. And the producer said to me, she said, "What? Like, we were all just hanging around in the studio." She said, "Why are you sitting there, not on your own?" I said, "Oh, that chair's terrible. It's a bit low. It's bad for me posture. When I've got my heels on, it's no good." She said, "Oh, do you like this one?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Oh, well, we could just give you a different one." I said, "Now you're telling me."
Oh, you've
5
forgotten.
years in.
You just need to ask. You've learnt that
I
already.
should know that, shouldn't I?
So going away slightly from Dragon's Den, we want to get more personal with you.
Oh.
So you and your husband, from a little bit of research we've done, have been together forever.
Forever.
Why did it take him so long to propose?
Oh, you tell me. So we were proper childhood sweethearts. He was my first boyfriend. I was his first girlfriend. All that sort of stuff. So I was 15, Simon was 19, which right now, 4 years, doesn't feel like a big deal at all. When you were 15, felt like a pretty big deal.
Were your parents all right with that?
Do you know, they were, because they'd met him. So Simon was the star of the local cricket team.
Oh, Simon.
From a nice
good old
family. They approved of his mum and dad and all of that shenanigans or whatever. So hence, when I kind of came home and I was kind of like, oh yeah, I've been chatting to this boy. They were all right with it. But it wasn't until I was 19 and I was at uni, and one of the lads I was at uni with had started dating a 17-year-old, and we had his life.
Yeah.
We ribbed him like you would not believe. And then the penny dropped and I was like, oh,
That was me.
But I was 15. So you'll laugh at this. He used to have a picture of me in his wallet, right?
Oh!
But it was my school picture.
That's gross.
Criminal.
And also, school photos are the worst photos ever.
No, I'd got me fringe done.
Okay, fine.
Ages blow drying me fringe, and it was dead trendy to have your tie knot really, really big. So there was this picture of me like grinning with a perfect bob and a fringe with me tie knot big, and that was in his wallet for like 10 years.
I don't know if that's cute or gross.
I want to know where that picture is now. If it's not in the wallet, dump him.
I was usurped by the kids 10 years ago. That was it.
So did you talk about getting married? Because for people that listen to this regularly, Brian is the producer. He is my husband. I work in the industry.
We like
Brian. Brian's
wait,
all right.
You don't know how long it took for him to propose.
We've been together for 13 years. We have a 9-year-old daughter.
Brian.
I work in the wedding industry, and he proposed after 10 and a half years.
Brian! We don't like Brian quite as much as we did.
But annoyingly, I was really pleased because then it meant the wedding that we had was like
pretty epic.
Yeah, it was a good wedding. But I'm still annoyed, just FYI. But did you go on about it a lot?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
And I think that's why I didn't do it.
Yeah.
I think I just drove him round the bend. and it felt like, because I was at school and then, sixth form, and then was at university, I felt like we'd been dating forever, so therefore you should propose. But I suppose, because I was married at 23, so I suppose it was still quite young, really.
Yeah.
So, but it was, I remember it was the year of my 21st birthday, and it was like, we'd have a nice weekend away, and my friends would be all like, oh, he's totally going to propose. And I was like, I know. And then he wouldn't. And then it was my 21st birthday, and they were like, oh, he's totally going to propose. I know. And then he didn't.
Oh.
And I felt like it was he said to us later, he said it was the pressure on him. So basically, I'd given up hope of him ever getting round to it. And so no longer was this anticipation. And he must have felt like there wasn't the anticipation anymore. And then, so it was totally unexpected when it did come.
Tell us how.
So it was Christmas morning.
Cute.
And he's never done anything this romantic since. Just an accurate picture of my husband here, right? And my parents were away, so I was staying over at his house on Christmas Eve, and he woke me up at 8 o'clock, and he was like, "Happy Christmas," and I was like, "Happy Christmas, sweetheart," but it's only 8 o'clock, so let's go back to sleep. and he's there, and I can feel him fidgeting around in bed, and he's like, "Do you want to get up now?" And I'm like, "Not like that." And he's like, "Do you want to get up now?" I was like, "No, I told you 5 minutes ago, we'll have a lie. Like, it's Christmas, let's have a lie in." Anyway, by about 8:30, he was desperate to get up. And he's like, "If you get up, I'll give you one of your presents." I was like, "I'm getting up. And so I sat bolt upright in bed, suddenly wide awake. Yes, I'll have presents. And he said, "I've made you a Christmas stocking." Oh. Well, he's never done that in like 8 years or whatever, and he's never done it since, let me just tell you, right? So he gave me this Christmas stocking, and blessed, there must have been a woman at his work doing the Avon or something. And because it was so cute, I wanted to make a fuss, and he'd individually wrapped everything up in it. So like,
then you have to pretend to be like, "Oh my God, babe, this is my favourite face cream."
That is exactly. And I was opening every part and rubbing it on my hand, going, "Oh, that's lovely, that's lovely." And then, open the little chocolates as we go. Well, I get right to the bottom, and then there's this tiny little box in the bottom, and the penny drops, and it dawns on me why he wasn't waking up, but why he was awake so early, and why. So I was like, "Oh my God," so I could feel this box, and I'm like pulling it out, and it's all wrapped up, and I'm unwrapping, and so because the tears streamed down my eyes.
Imagine if it wasn't.
And then I started
really
thinking,
nice
if this is a pair of earrings, I look stupid right now. And so I was like, pull it together. By the time I'd finished opening it, I got to the box. Oh, he's down on one knee at the side of the bed, and I was like, "You're so sweet."
I love a proposal story. Beth is not yet engaged.
No.
It gets talked about a lot. They've been together a while.
I feel like it's at that stage. He's like, you keep asking, you keep talking about it, and it's not just me that's talking about it. It's our listeners, my clients, our clients,
everybody.
Everyone.
My God. I thought it was bad enough when the parents are all talking about it and what the pressure that comes with that, let alone all this community you've got.
Yeah.
We thought that he might propose when they moved into their house.
Yep. We moved into our forever home. We were like, "Oh, how lovely would that be?"
No, I know the problem. It's exactly what Simon had. Because everybody's expecting him to. He's not going to do it.
It's a stubborn
once the
thing.
expectation's gone, he'll do it in his own time.
Yeah.
I got really angry at Brian once because we went to Dubai, and we when we first met, we went to Dubai because his family lived there, and blah, 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 and we'd seen the Dubai fountains, and Time to Say Goodbye was playing, and it was the most amazing moment of our whole entire lives. We went back a few years later with our daughter, and he was like, "We should go out for a date night." And I was like,
It's happening.
Hitting my nails, I was ready. And we're going through the Dubai Mall, down the escalators, and I can hear the song. And I'm like, no way, he's frigging planned the song and everything. Get to the bottom of the escalators, the song stops, and he's like, "Oh, never mind." And I was like, no, like, I don't mind, it's fine, we'll still go, like, I'm okay with it. When I watched it, and it was like in between every thingy song there's like an Arabic song, and I was like, it's fine, like, I'm okay, like, I can make this work. It's still super romantic. And I'm stood there, and I'm like, and he's like, "Okay, should we go?" And I was like, "Are you joking?"
Wait, let me check your pockets.
I was like, are you taking the piss? And people are messaging me at this point as well, being like, "Oh my God, you're in Dubai, it's going to happen." And the plane home, I was I reckon it took me a good 6 months to get over that. Even though he was just like sat there like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "I thought you were going to propose."
Men, they just don't get it.
Just don't get it. Just don't.
They
do
just
not
don't
get
realise
it
what a big deal it is.
Massive.
Men.
Huge.
I'm giving Brian the eyes.
I know.
Side
It's all right. We're
eye.
married now. It's happened. And now I'm kind of like, eh. And then my big moan was that we wanted the same surname. Now I can't be bothered to change it. So you got engaged.
Yes.
Tell us about your wedding then.
So it'll be 16 years old. And so I just started the business.
Yeah.
So bear in mind, for all these years, I had all of this time on my hands. I could have totally been planning a wedding, right? And you know when you're a little girl and you dream about planning your wedding, and it's all you think of, it's all consuming. Then all of a sudden I'd started a business, and compared to running a business, it just pales away into insignificance.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, all these grand plans I had, I just didn't have time to see them through. But my best friend was totally up for it.
Nice.
Totally up for it. Now, I'm married to an accountant.
Oh no, what are those?
All need to feel from you now.
We
folks.
can't
Need to
hide
feel
the
from
spreadsheets, can we? We can't slip
Fiddle it.
things over
you.
there.
Well, I had a spreadsheet, and we had an agreed budget. And the budget was, I was putting 5,000 of my savings, Simon was putting 5,000 of his. His parents were putting 5,000, my parents were putting 5,000.
Cute.
So we had like £20,000 to spend on the wedding and the honeymoon.
Oh.
Right? That was the plan 16 years ago.
So 16 years. I'm trying to think of what the... Okay.
Okay. So I had the spreadsheet and we agreed the budget line for everything. And then it was within my power to go off and procure suppliers for all of these lines in the budget, as long as when I put the quote in on said special box, it came up with a red, amber, green as to whether or not I could proceed without authorisation. You sense where I'm going with this, right? So I remember I had the red, amber, green structure. My friend, bless her, went off to every goddamn wedding fair in the northeast. Took my mum with her, took my little sister with her. I wanted a casino, I wanted bumper cars, I wanted all these things at a wedding, right? She went off and found suppliers and we had to put them in the spreadsheet. And I can just remember my wedding dress, right? And I had £500 in the budget line for the wedding dress. Nice. And in my head, I wanted this amazing wedding dress, but I wasn't sentimental, so I was just going to hire it. So I was like, I want a £3,000 wedding dress or something, but I was going to hire it. Therefore, it'll be about £500.
Frugal, I like it.
Well, I couldn't find for the love of money where you could find wedding dresses to hire. So next thing, I'm in the shops trying on wedding dresses at the £500 wedding dress, because that's what I could afford in my budget, right? And I remember trying on these dresses and then I was looking, I'm going, what's them ones in the corner?
Oh, don't try on the ones you can't afford.
And they were like, no, we're just going to stick with these ones at the front of the shop. I'm not going to that bit at the back. I was like, well, can I just try one? And I can remember it was Ian Stewart? Somebody Stewart was the wedding dress designer. I don't even know if he's still going. Somebody Stewart. I'm sure it was Ian Stewart. And I tried on one of his dresses. Oh, and I felt $1 million.
Did it hug you in all the...
because it was a size 10 dress that they'd pulled around me, right? And I felt $1 million in it. So I was like, I want one of his dresses. I want one of his dresses. And I looked, and I remember it was £2,300. And at the time I was like, who spends £2,000? Who spends 2,300 of a £20,000 budget?
That's the problem. You have to get a percentage of the wedding. It's not really the figure. It's the how much of our day. But then the dress is in every single photo.
That's what I told myself. So I worked out, I just launched the business and my first product was called the enveloper, and I was still selling little wooden versions of the enveloper, and I made £1 profit on each one. And I was like, I've got to sell another 1,800 envelopers without Simon knowing. I'll just put in the spreadsheet that I spent 500 on the dress. And I've got to sell this many extra envelopers to pay for the wedding. And that's how I did it.
Wow.
But I can remember, so obviously in the dress, they put the size 10 dress on you and pull it round. I looked at $1 million, right? Then they took all my measurements and made the one to measure. So I went to the wedding dress shop and tried it on 3 months before the wedding. And I looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, oh my God, I look like a sack of tatties. I was absolutely distraught. I was like, I've just spent my life savings. I've totally lied to my husband to be.
Great way to start a marriage.
Yeah, exactly. And I look like a sack of spuds. And I'm just going to be distraught. And I then spent a little bit extra on the photographer because I knew I was going to look so good.
This is honestly, it snowballs. And then you're like, well, if I'm going to have a photo, I need video. And if I'm going to have a video, I need to have a band so that the video got something to film.
Yeah.
So all of that. So I remember saying to the woman in the wedding dress shop, I said, well, this looks lovely, but just so you know, I'm going to go and lose some weight. So I might have to take it in. And she just smiled and nodded like they do. You know,
okay, babe.
Yeah, we've heard this before. Yeah. And I remember, and I literally ate nothing. For like 3.5 hours. I went to the gym every day and I ate nothing. And I came back and I'd lost like nearly 3 stone.
Stop it.
And they had to take the whole dress apart and take 8 inches off. I looked amazing that day I walked down there. I mean, don't get me wrong, I put all the weight back on, over the next year, as you do.
Yeah.
But looked amazing the day I walked down there. I loved it.
Worth every single penny.
It really was.
So what was your wedding like? Was it marquee? Was it barn? Was it?
So we got married. I had a church wedding for the actual wedding. And then we went to a little place in Barnard because we wanted to have, that's the other thing, on my £20, well, it was actually only a 15 grand budget because we budgeted £5 grand for the honeymoon. So 15 grand wedding budget was only a £500 dress, obviously. So
of course.
We'll not mention that. But
£2,200 wedding. It's fine.
I wanted 250 guests on the night.
No, you're my worst nightmare. When someone goes, she's got this budget, but I'm going to invite every single person I know.
We had 120 in the day and 250 on the night, and I wanted it to be the best party anyone had ever been to, and I wanted to choose somewhere where my friends, my mates from uni, could afford to come and drink drink.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wasn't bothered. I didn't want it to be this fancy posh place where no one could afford to buy a pint and everyone was sneaking vodka in and then dressed.
Oh,
You
yeah,
know
yeah,
what they're
yeah.
like.
Yeah.
We all know them weddings. Been to plenty of them myself.
Yeah.
So we chose this venue and there was this little farm that had been converted into a hotel. So it was really rustic. It only had 13 rooms there. But I just remember it was so cute. Jersey Farm, Barnard Castle it was. And we got married in the old barn. And it had like a mezzanine. So I remember
So you had a
on the
church
night-
ceremony
church ceremony. And
on the
then
same day?
On that day
Yeah.
at 1 o'clock.
Nice.
And then, because I always remember Simon complained that it was clashing with the football.
Oh,
stuff.
Oh.
get lost.
I
I'm
already
not
had
a
to
fan
get
of Simon anymore.
I already had to get married the weekend after the cricket season, so we didn't have to miss a
Oh.
cricket match.
But you
so-
did marry him because he was a cricket star, so
Yeah.
you got to go with
And he
that
did
one.
point out that then all 11 of his mates wouldn't be able to come to the
Okay,
wedding.
fair.
So,
All right.
fair enough.
Wait, we would have saved a bit of budget there.
Yeah, I
if they didn't
know.
come.
Could have a bigger dress.
So then we all travelled over. It was in this beautiful big barn. Food was absolutely incredible, and then the big party on the night where I had bumper cars outside.
The bumper cars came.
I can't
I
believe
want to
you're-
know how much the bumper cars were.
How much were the bumper cars back
The bumper
then?
cars were about £2,000. So 10%.
No,
of
that's 10%. That's a big part of the part
Yeah,
of
but
the
I'm
wedding,
thinking,
isn't it?
I don't understand how this budget is stretching for 120 person
Oh,
I
wedding.
feel like she
If
fiddled the
anyone
numbers.
knows how to stretch, the only one I fiddled on was that dress, but I did fiddle on it.
Okay. Does he know now?
Probably not. Well, let's bank on him not listening.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
All right.
Don't worry, Simon. Click on, scroll
Let's
on
hope
through.
the Daily Mail doesn't write all about it. I'm sure they will. But yes, if anyone can stretch a budget, I know how to stretch a
nice.
Yeah.
budget. Don't you worry, pet. And I stretched that budget and we accounted for every penny and made every penny count. But yeah, we had the bumper cars, I had a casino going on. And
So
that
proper
was
fun.
It was great because what it meant is, when it gets to that point on the night where the lasses just want to get up and dance and the
Yeah.
husbands have been miserable gits.
I like how you look directly
Yeah,
at Brian
looking
then.
at Brian.
They all went up in the casino.
Nice,
so all
yeah.
the blokes were quite happy because then they're all in the casino a bit. The girls are on the dance floor. Everyone goes out, plays on the bumper cars.
Nice.
It was incredible.
Yeah, people really worry about, because our wedding was similar where we had different things in different spaces. And people are like, no, I want to keep them all in one room. And I'm like, you don't want to keep them all in one room. You want them all to have fun. And if it means that the guys are going to play casino and the girls are dancing, cool.
Everyone's happy.
See you later.
They're not dancing thinking, oh, God, there's my miserable husband in the corner giving us the eyes because he wants to go home early. Yeah.
Love it. So did you have any wedding dramas? Did you have pressure from parents? Did you get on with your mother-in-law?
Do you know, I didn't think it was an overly stressful time.
Okay.
But then I was busy running the business. It was my best friend who was organising the wedding.
We need
Sorry,
a best friend
I was
here.
gonna
Where's
say,
the best
how
friend?
stressed was your
Sophie.
best friend?
And all I can remember is it was like a couple of days before the wedding or something. And I'd said to me, I went, oh, get me mum to do that. And our Helen, my sister, went to us, no, we'll not get me mum to do that because, my mum's, a bit stressed. And I was like, what's my mum stressed about? She's like, the wedding? I was like, why is my mum stressing about? It's not her wedding. Sophie's sorting everything. She's like, you do know my mum's had to go on high blood pressure tablets. Just the stress in the lead up to the wedding. And I was like, oh, no. Clearly, maybe it's just a bit more stressful than I realised.
I think that's good though. They kept it from you.
Yes. Yeah. Good friends keep it from
People
you.
get the biggest complaint we have from our clients is that everyone puts the pressure onto the couple.
Yeah.
Like every problem seems their problem. You
Oh,
can't
I
get
know,
accommodation.
Okay, cool.
It's not my problem. You can't get there. Not my problem. Figure it out
Yeah,
yourself.
it's mad. It's good that you didn't, but then we forget then how much stuff does actually go on parents because we forget that it's them also showing off
Yes.
their child coming together and being an adult and stuff like that. And actually, parents are typically the hosts, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yes.
Especially if
that's
they
it.
contributed some money as well.
And I felt like we got the balance brilliant because both sets of parents
Yes.
had contributed equally,
Yes.
but they'd contributed the same as us. So I didn't feel like it was their wedding and they
Yeah.
were telling us we're having all of our friends here.
Did they have many friends there?
No, they both had a table each.
Oh,
So
Oh,
they didn't have a
nice.
table with your friends and people who mean that most to you. We'll have a table with our friends and then we'll have family, and it all came together perfectly.
this is like a perfect blueprint for planning a wedding. Basically, get your mate to do it.
Yes,
Give your both sets of parents a table.
there you go.
Make sure they pay a quarter.
Exactly. So everybody's
Yeah.
equal. That was the big thing. Everyone was equal.
Cool.
And then just spend the budget on the important things. So we blew loads of the budget on the bumper cars. I tell you where we save budget.
Yep.
Wedding favours. Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I feel like you need to have a wedding favour on the plate, and also you need to have a nameplate, right?
Yeah.
So what we did the morning before the wedding, went to Millie's Cookies.
Nice.
We
Nice.
bought 150 Millie's cookies. So we had
Oh.
30 spare in case it all went wrong. And I set my sister on piping everybody's name onto the Millie's cookie.
Sorry, wait. What did your sister say to this?
Well, she was fine. I remember she always reminds me of this. I say, "Oh, Pet, I'll do this table. Can you do that tip?" Pet's a northern phrase, by the way.
Yeah.
Right, Pet, I'll do this table. Can you do that table? It's got Pat and Rob on. She's like, "Oh yeah." I said, "Val, yeah, brilliant." Christina, Jonathan. I'm trying to pipe that on a Millie's cookie. Remember?
Did it go right around the back as well?
I remember what she said, "Christina, can I put ex-Tina?" I said, "No, it's like that." I'd never even met Christina. She was one of Simon's relatives flying out from America.
Oh, yeah,
I was like, "You can't put bloody ex-Tina. You'll fit Christina." So it took about 5 cookies of practicing Christina. We ate a lot of Millie's cookies that day.
Oh, I do feel like that is quite a good job to hand over. But yeah, morning of the wedding, that's...
Yeah. Oh, it was the morning before.
Morning before.
The morning
Okay,
before. And then we
alright.
put them into little bags,
Yeah.
cellophane bags, and tied the top so they were airtight.
Nice.
Perfect the next day.
Were there any other big saving tips, budget stretching tips that you did?
So we did do everything ourselves. I tell you what, I can tell you, my sister got married a few years ago, and so we all came together to plan her wedding.
Yeah.
And
Were you like, I'm invested now. I'm ready
right
to.
in.
Yeah,
I'm in. Pet, I'm ready
I'll
to
do the
go.
cookies, don't worry.
But she wanted the real rustic themed wedding.
Yeah.
And she had a little bit more budget than me, but she spent it on a slightly more expensive place.
Yeah.
But then she wanted everything handmade. Like it wasn't just about saving the money. She wanted everyone to come along and feel like we'd made the wedding.
That's like you.
Yeah.
Whereas
Well,
I'm
it's
complete
everything.
opposite.
Every single thing at our wedding had to have a reason why it was there.
Yes.
They had to look at it and go, oh my God, yeah, that's because X, Y, Z. They've done that. Like, whereas Beth is the type of person that will just pay for what looks good.
No, I'm all about making it. So, like, for example, my mum grew tulips. She was getting married in April. So my mum grew all of the tulips so that we could do the centerpieces. Of the
Oh, I do
wedding
love
in
that
their
though.
own
Yeah.
tulips.
That's special.
And she wanted garden games. So she had me dad cutting up wooden pallets and building like Jenga and ring toss.
That is
and
my only
spraying
exception.
milk bottles.
Oh,
and-
so just as you've said that, and if your sister does listen, Beth hates garden games.
Oh,
It's been a whole thing. I don't mind
love
them.
the garden games.
Thank you.
But I did say
What?
if they were like made by family,
You said you want them acrylic.
They were
listen back to the episode. If there's meaning behind it, I'm okay with it.
Okay.
So we got milk bottles and sprayed, and I'm saying we because we literally did it. Me mum and dad and our Helen, we sprayed the milk bottles gold and then made
At least
little
they're gold.
rope rings to throw
Yeah,
on.
Beth likes
I'll
gold.
take the gold.
Jenga, she made big Jenga, and she made
Was it
like
big though?
Yes, it was big.
Big, yeah, because that was your other ick.
My
is
other
that it's
ick
like a
is the,
medium Jenga.
Yeah.
No,
Oh,
You know
this
when
is
you've got to bend
giant
down for it.
Jenga, and I'm like, it's
Gotta
not.
be It's got to be big.
So if you were going to do your wedding again now, what would it be like?
Oh, good question.
Because I feel like now you're a big time dragon. I feel like you could I feel like you wouldn't have to hide the wedding dress cost any longer.
Nah,
But you do work
he's
with
still
your...
an
Yeah, I was
accountant,
going to say,
right?
does he? You work together, don't you?
We do, yes.
Yeah, see, I couldn't hide anything from Brian. He literally was
No.
in it.
Yeah, I know. Simon still doesn't know about them extra 1,800 envelopers. So I feel like I would do all my same wedding. I would wear the same wedding dress.
Would you?
Even though fashions have changed a lot in 16 years, I would wear that exact same wedding dress. I still, to this day, bloody love it.
You're going to have to send us a photo of it
And
so
I'm
we can
so
share it.
pleased that I bought it in the end.
Yeah.
Like I can see me, like maybe like if I could get it dyed or something, I could maybe wear it to like the BAFTAs one year or something. Like I could totally see me doing that, right? Because I love the dress to bits. So I would wear the same dress. I would totally go back to the same venue.
Yeah?
And the only thing I would do different is I would get more involved. So
Okay.
I feel like I relived my wedding dream through our Helen's wedding a few years ago.
Yeah.
So as much as that wedding was her vision for what she wanted, I was like, yep, I'll take on that. I'll sort the signs out. I'll sort
had
the
time.
I'll do it because I had the time
Yeah.
to put in. And I'm that's what I miss with my own. Our Helen looks at that when she's so proud of it. She made the slow gin for the wedding favours and
Yeah.
everything. And I wish I could have made more of my own wedding. So I made up by making our Helen's wedding.
What would you do this time? What if you were going to make something?
Oh, totally.
Like, I feel like you'd have to have all different chairs. So it's like Dragon's Den chairs.
So it's funny that you say this, and I feel like I have a style, and it was that rustic style that my sister had, but I think I only felt that because that was what I was channeled on.
Yeah.
The wedding show that I've worked on recently, we've done 6 radically different weddings, and by the end of each one I felt like, oh my God, that is the style of wedding that I would totally have. And I would, because I was in charge of the craft, and I was like, I'm totally going to make all that stuff. So I think I'm probably one of those easily influenced people who totally is, whatever I did last is my favourite thing.
Yes.
Yeah. So with that, with what you said, that you've seen the 6 and you're very easily swayed. This is again something we have an issue with, is our clients will pick something, see something on Instagram, see something on TikTok, see something on Pinterest and be like, do I need to change everything again? How do you kind of keep to that core vision of what you want? Because you still said you do all the elements of the crafting and the DIY you do again. So that kind of part of it's still there, but the style.
Do you know, I don't think I'd take a gold cow and do your two's jobs. Because you're right. I always think design is so subjective, and dealing with anybody who can change their mind at the drop of the hat must be bad anyway. But dealing with a bride...
Say it louder.
Yeah.
Say it louder.
Look at the camera when you say this.
Dealing with a bride who is like going to change their mind every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But it's not only the bride, because you're dealing with the bride and then the bloody mother-in-law.
Oh,
I can remember once, and it's years before me and Sam were even engaged. I was for some reason walking down a street in York with the mother-in-law, and Simon's mum and dad, his dad was there as well. And there was a wedding dress in the window, and she went, "Hey, isn't that lovely?" And I was just being all polite. I was like, "Oh, yeah, that's lovely." And she went, "Oh, it's going to be really difficult when you get married, isn't it?"
Why?
And I went, "Oh, is it Val?" She went, yeah, because, you know, I like one style and your mum will like a different style. And I just thought... well, you can fuck off.
Gonna nip that in the bud early.
But I remember thinking, I thought, you actually think that's okay, that you are going to have a say in what I'm wearing? We need to put this right now.
We need to ask you, because have you got children?
Yes.
You've got boys, haven't you?
I've got 2 boys, so I'm going to be...
You are the mother-in-law.
The
You
mother-in-law.
are literally the mother. And we were trying to do, because I've got a daughter, so I know I'm going to take over my daughter's wedding, but I feel like it's a bit more allowed because she's the girl. What are you going to be like with your boys?
Oh, no, I just feel like I am going to work my entire life to be so cool that those daughter-in-laws or son-in-laws, you never know, but they are going to love me and think I am really cool and really trendy. And then they're going to love my crafting so much that they're going to totally want to embrace it and be like asking me, "Oh, Sarah, we're hoping you might be able to like..."
Yeah,
help
but what
at
if
our
they
wedding."
say, "Oh, we really don't want anything DIY"?
No, don't say that, because that's not going to happen.
This might happen. You might
No.
get a Beth, and she'll be like, "Ew."
No, because I'm polite,
Yeah,
and
but
I'd be
you'll-
like,
you'll
yeah,
still
just
be
put
like-
it in the corner.
You would not be daughter-in-law material for me.
Oh, the dagger in the heart.
Wait, how old are your kids?
6 and 9.
Yeah, you're
I've got a
fine.
while.
I'm glad.
Oh, our daughter's 9. Oh, I'm okay with a bit of crafty stuff. We'd have to
should
like,
talk.
I know we'd have to argue about the wedding. Be like, whoa! I thought we were having it over our ends. Like we're down south. North. We'll have to go in the middle. We'll go somewhere. We'll have scones and scones. It's a whole other thing.
Let's not go there. Could go downhill quickly. I was having fun.
Right, we'll do some quick fire wedding.
Right.
This
Hit me.
or that's. I'll go, you go, I'll go, you go.
Oh, you
Okay.
haven't prepared me for this.
You don't need to be prepared.
Oh, I feel
You
sick.
work under pressure. Right, ready? Band or DJ?
DJ.
Starter or dessert?
Oh, dessert all the way.
Oh, I agree.
She's my woman.
Or I'd go start and dessert and skip the main course.
Oh.
Do you know what? I think I've said
Should
this
we
on
do
the
that?
episode. Starters are banging,
Yes.
desserts are banging,
Yes.
and then main course is kind of like, okay.
It's just there's some chicken and
Oh
some
my
veg.
God, maybe we should get married. Screw the kids.
That'd be good. Up north
I'll think about it.
with scones.
Okay. First, actually, no, I'm going to skip off my this or that. Traditions and stuff like that. Did you do a first dance? Did you do speeches? Did you do
Yes.
dad walking down the aisle?
Yes.
Did you do...
Yes.
Did you do a speech?
No, because it didn't feel
Oh.
traditional. See, Sarah now
Yes.
would have the confidence to say, "I'm going to do that."
Yeah.
Having said that, God, I could talk for England, and so
I'd
everybody.
be your wedding planner in the back being like, wrap it up, babe, sit down.
Yeah, and you just know
Starters
that
are
as
ready.
soon as I stood up, everybody would roll their eyes and be like, "Oh, we knew she'd have something to say." So actually, it was that. And do you know what? My husband never says anything nice about us to other people. He's always the one who tries to keep your feet on the ground.
Yeah.
And that wedding speech was just one of the best moments of my life. And we've got the wedding video, and I'll watch it back every year, and I'm like, oh yeah. So I would rather have that moment
Yeah.
than give a speech myself.
Okay, fair. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What other this or that's are there?
Bouquet toss? Yes or no?
I did toss the bouquet. If it's a tradition, trust me, I did it.
Did you do the, whoa. Did you do the garter?
Garters.
Did he
Oh.
did he crawl and get it off with his mouth?
Oh no, I didn't. I haven't heard of that.
The garter
Thank bloody
toss.
God.
Simon definitely
No,
did.
Yeah.
I wore a garter because that was tradition.
Okay,
I don't
no,
know
there's some
now
where the
about
woman
this
sits
tea.
down and he goes under the dress
In front of everyone.
takes it off,
What
and
with
then
your mum and dad
Yeah.
Imagine.
And then he like it's the same as the bouquet toss, but he'll like fling it to the crowd, and then the single men grab it.
That's not right.
Vile.
That's just not right.
She was definitely sat on that chair.
Okay, so you mentioned slightly about this new show. Tell us. We've got people in the corner looking at us like, don't tell them too much, but tell us everything. Ignore them because they can't interrupt anyway.
So, all I know is, anytime I've told anybody about this show, right? Because so bear in mind, like it's nearly a year since we filmed it.
Okay.
So I'm not supposed to tell people, but when I would tell them, they would go, "Oh my god, how has that never been on TV before? That is going to be like the best wedding show in the world ever."
There's no, apart from Don't Tell the Bride, there are no wedding shows.
But all the other wedding shows, I don't know about you, but I feel like they're silly.
Yes.
They're not actually premised on reality.
As if you'd let him plan a wedding.
Yeah.
Without being like, P.S. I want everything orange. Like,
I mean, it's they're not founded in reality. Or there's what's that other one? Married at First Sight.
Whoa.
Come on.
Whoa.
I know, but it's not.
We
it's
do
not
love
found-
Married at
but
First
it's not founded in reality.
Oh, but it's also not really about weddings, is it?
No.
We want more wedding. So is yours wedding content heavy?
Oh, it is weddings, right? So let me tell you. Right? So the best way I can describe it, right, is it's like The Apprentice, but for wedding planners.
Nice.
Right?
Wait, Georgie,
Stop it.
why aren't you on this?
Why aren't I on the show?
Well, you tell me why.
that's
not,
all right. You're on
Georgie.
my podcast
All
now.
right.
It's fine.
So imagine, right? You've got 8 would-be wedding planners, right?
Wait, would be.
Well, so some of them are already wedding planners,
Okay.
but some of them, there's a celebrant who's wanting to train as a
okay.
wedding planner.
Yep.
There's a
Oh.
florist who's just wanting to move into wedding planning,
Okay,
right?
okay.
There's a dancer that's just changed careers. So there's like, they're not all top of their game wedding planners.
Oh,
There's
that's
some
why I
really
wasn't on it then.
Exactly
aspiring
why.
wedding planners,
That's exactly
right?
why.
But they're all amazing in their own field.
Okay.
But who can be, like on The Apprentice, you might be brilliant at selling, but can you do the negotiating?
Yeah.
So who's like the best all round? And that's what we're trying to find out every week. So you've got your 8 wedding planners, right?
Yeah.
Then every week, Monday morning, we come in to head office, and our head office is based up in Glasgow, right? So they'd come in on Monday morning, all the wedding planners would be there, and you'd meet this week's couple. So this week's couple come in and they tell you all about their wedding that's happening this Saturday. That's
Stop it.
already
I feel
booked.
sick.
So it's already booked, planned, paid for, because they've been planning it for years. Some of
Yeah,
these
yeah.
people have been
Okay.
planning for years, right?
Years.
So they'll tell you all about their wedding, right? And our planners have 3 days and £10,000 to supersize that wedding.
Shut
Right?
up.
So you're operating on a shoestring budget, but you're trying to do something phenomenal, right? And what they do is they split them into 2 teams. So there's the experienced team, right? And then there's the creative team. So the experienced team are all about like the moments. So
Yes.
when she walks down the aisle,
Yes.
right? Or the
I'd
first
nail that
dance.
side.
So all the experienced side, right? And Fred Sirius, you know Fred from First
We
Dates?
love
Sexy
Fred.
Fred.
I was trying to explain
Ooh
to
la
Ryan
la.
how sexy he was, and
He
he
is,
just
mate.
wasn't hearing it.
Oh no, he totally is. Right, so you've got Sexy Fred is overseeing the experienced team,
Yeah.
right? And I oversee the creative team. So
Ooh.
my team are responsible for the flowers, the
Yeah.
wedding favours, all of the crafting, the backdrops, the look and feel of the everything. We do all the creative side.
Okay.
Right? So what they do is they split the budget. Half of it goes to experience, half of it goes to the creative team, right? They brainstorm all their ideas, pitch them back to the bride and groom, but it's got to be within their theme.
Yes,
So
yeah.
every week the weddings are so different.
Yes.
I mean, like I couldn't believe how different they were.
What was your, without giving too much away, if I said what theme was your favourite theme of wedding? Like, if you were going to go as a guest, which one would you have wanted to go to?
So I did love the second wedding happened on a farm
Okay.
with 93 animals that they wanted to be part of the wedding.
Oh.
I love
And it
this.
had a real festival vibe about it.
Okay.
There was another one that happened down, and they were they were getting married later in life.
Okay.
And they were into swing dancing.
I
That
was wondering where
I
you're
was
going with that then.
I was like,
Very
whoa.
quick in swing dancing. Swing dancing. That was because that was such a different
Yeah.
vibe. But all 6 weddings were so vastly different. So they tell you all about the wedding. Then our wedding planners have to try and come up with like the perfect enhancements to the wedding. But bear in mind, what we're judging them on is originality, creativity,
Yeah.
how well they've stuck to the brief of the bride and groom. We're also looking at sustainability, how sustainable they've been and the ideas they've come up with. So, for example, that wedding that was on the farm, she didn't want to buy anything. She wanted all of the flowers and all things foraged from the local woods. And it was how creative they could get around that. So it's really great. So what they do is they do that. And then all of the wedding planners travel down to wherever the venue is, right? And they start, and they've got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to pull off what they're doing. And every week they get more and more ambitious with their plans. And nearly every week they're there and they're crafting through the night and they're trying to pull things off and they're creating bigger and bigger structures. And then we'll give them feedback like, oh, it needs to be more Instagrammable, or it's going to be totally Pinterest.
So you just go in and throw a bomb in the works,
And then what happens is me and Fred come tottering in on a Friday. And we're like, this isn't
good
really
enough.
good enough, and you haven't thought of this, and what about that, and oh my word, have you thought about women walking across there in their high heels after they've had a few drinks, you've cleaning up, and we try and point out all of the flaws and what they maybe haven't thought of. I can pretty much guarantee they don't sleep all Friday night because they were trying to do.
Wow, they must hate you.
Well, it's great because on the Saturday morning there's 3 judges. There's me and Fred, and the third judge is Raj, who's a wedding planner.
Okay.
He's like a wedding planner extraordinaire, Raj. So Raj is behind the scenes just screaming at them.
So he's like their point
He's like
of
their
call.
coach, mentor. He's making them get better and better and better every week at the
So
wedding planning.
do people go out each week as well then?
I'm getting to that.
I'm too excited.
So Friday we're throwing all the criticism around, and Raj is trying to pick up the pieces.
You're like, mic drop. I'm
Raj
out.
is just giving tissues out to
Be
everyone.
better
Yeah, I was going to say quite often Fred's making people cry. I'm going around giving them hugs, telling them it's going to be okay. We have a lot of that.
It's okay, pet. It's fine.
And I'm like, Fred, stop making them cry. He's like, but that wasn't good enough. You know that's not good enough. So we have all of that. Then Saturday morning, me and Fred calm as a cucumber. I get fancy dress, lovely, beautiful hat, nice handbag every week. Turn up to the wedding. We come as guests. Raj is behind the scenes with the planners. We're there as guests. We go and experience the guest experience.
Okay.
We're looking at all the crafts. We're taking notes, everything like this, right? We go through the whole day as a guest, doing the guest journey.
Yeah.
You must be milking the wedding food.
Do you love it? Are you? But genuine
And I
question:
have
Are you
to
sick of
sample
weddings now?
everything. Oh no.
No.
Can you
Okay.
ever get sick
No.
of
Well, I
weddings?
don't understand it. People are like, "Oh, I've got 5 weddings this year," and I'm like, "Okay,
They're
cool."
all so
Oh, I
different.
love it.
Yeah.
And they're so different. So, and then what they have, which I think is really clever, is they have like a photo booth that goes to every wedding, but it's a little bit like, you know, on I'm a Celeb, and you've got that jungle cam or the Big Brother, and they go like, it's that.
It's like the diary room.
Yes. So you go in, and the bride and groom go in, loads of the guests, and they'll go in and they'll be asked to like, oh, what did you think of this? What did you think? So they'll be giving their feedback, but they do it. They set the wedding, the photo booth up at like 9:30 when
so
everyone's half
Oh, I love it when they've had a bit of a drink.
Oh yes,
This is where you get the mother-in-law come in.
The mother-in-law's always got something to say, I can tell you. So they'll give all their tidbits. So then what happens is, on the Sunday, we travel back home, everybody has the day off or whatever, and they will look at all the footage from the truth booth.
Oh, I love it.
Truth
Truth booth.
And then we get time to collect our thoughts, and then Monday morning we go back in and we basically say, right, going to give you all some feedback. We watch the footage from the truth booth.
No.
We give them all feedback. One of them gets crowned like head planner for that, not head planner, like top planner for that week. They get a
Yes.
golden invite automatically through to the next wedding.
Yes.
Then we hand out invitations to everybody else, and of all those invitations that get handed out, 2 of them are blank.
No.
So they all open their cards. Some of them have automatically got an invitation.
I feel like people should start doing that for their weddings. And be like, if you've got a blank one, sorry.
But the 2 blank ones have to step forward and basically fight their corner and say why they should come to the next wedding. And then we have to be them really nasty people who then like we're getting a
break
little
their
huddle and say,
dreams.
oh my god, who are we going to go with? And then we send one home.
Oh, the anxiety I'd have of sweating.
I don't think I'd be
They
able to
are.
open an
They
invite.
really are like that, opening the wedding.
I'd be holding up to the light to see if there's like
Anything
writing on it.
Do you know what though? I hate that, giving them the criticism
Yeah.
after the way because you want to tell them where they've done well. But do you know what? I don't think I would have been as good at it if I hadn't have done Strictly the year before.
Yeah.
Because I feel like every week on Strictly you do your dance and you'd go and the judges would be like, oh, you did this really well, but you could just improve here.
Yeah.
And it was given that critique that you. And then the only time I experienced the bottom 2, I was booted off. So I never knew what it felt like to be in the bottom 2 and to go through again. But I just had so much empathy with them.
Yeah.
I knew, and I can remember I would go and speak to them off camera after we'd finished and say, look, I know that's really difficult, but I'm trying to give you this feedback so that you can get better and come back bigger and better next week and whatnot. And then you'd
Apart
see
from the
them
one you
come
kicked
back
off.
with, not the one you kicked off. Let's just sweep
They're
that
still
under the
crying.
carpet. That I really struggled with.
Yeah, I bet.
But giving them feedback and then watching them grow and flourish as wedding planners, as business people, because I'm trying to give them business advice as well.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and then I'm keeping an eye on the budget. all the time.
You're
So
not
of course
fiddling
they were-
it.
You're not
No.
fiddling it this time.
Pot kettle black.
Oh my word, I hope these people don't listen to this podcast and know that I fiddled my own wedding budget. That'll be my career in tatters. So, but yes, so I'd do that and then check on the budget, and I would be as telly off if they hadn't spent all of the budget, as
Okay.
if they'd gone over it.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, do you know what?
You wasted
This
money.
couple had £10,000
Yeah.
of the BBC's cash to spend.
Yeah.
Come on, guys, you've got to
Yeah.
spend every penny, make
Get a
every
few
penny
Millie's
count.
cookies on your way in.
You know that's what softens her up. So I don't know whether you're allowed to tell us,
Oh, try me.
but is there anything gone majorly wrong, or out of the people that are in there, is there one that you're like, oh, they really shouldn't have got? I don't know what the researchers were doing with this one.
Hell yeah.
Oh.
Oh, hell yeah. So, yes. I mean,
Don't look in the corner of the room if you'll get
Don't
inside
name names,
eyes.
just tell us.
so I remember like on the first week, everything seemed so calm, and we came for the Friday walk round and they all seemed to have it together or whatever, and I'm thinking, oh, this is okay. Little did I know it's all falling apart behind the scenes.
I
Did
think that's
not
like
know,
every wedding though.
Yeah, that is true.
But it was next level. They're all screaming at each other, the planners. But of course, me and Fred don't see any of this because we're all just out the front with the bride. and
Yeah,
groom.
oh,
All
right.
fabulous, right? And then we saw a tiny bit of it when we're trying to like peek behind a curtain to check on how one of the turnarounds is going, and I can see the head planner screaming at people, and I was like, Fred, oh my god. And he's like, look at the drama, Sarah. Ooh la la, look at the drama.
Well, sorry, where's he from?
Newcastle.
It sounded like Sebastian under the sea.
So that was
Right.
good. I remember by the second week, we came in on the Friday to check on, and everyone was crying. And I'm like, what's happened? It's like people have had a breakdown because they're all, and it's the pressure.
This is. I feel like you were really lucky with your wedding that you didn't feel the amount of drama that comes with weddings is madness. It is madness. Like, we're not even competing against each other. We go to a wedding and it's still, everyone is like, I don't know, stressed, arguing, like worried. There's so much pressure on that day.
You've got all of that. So you've got all of that pressure of that couple, plus you don't know the couple well because you've only met them a few days ago. Plus then you've got the fact that they're trying to compete with each other. So yes, they're trying to do a great wedding, but they're also trying to
They've also
excel
gotta
in their
look
own
good.
way.
Yeah.
They want to make sure that what they've committed to do looks awesome, but then... And it's not like one team wins. It's not like the experienced team win over the creative. Not like in The Apprentice where one team...
Yeah.
It's not that. It's kind of every man for himself, but you put it together as one big team.
That is like
Pressure on
weddings,
national
though.
telly, and if
But
you,
it-
if you don't
that's-
look good, you don't look good.
That's really similar to weddings because as suppliers that go to weddings, Beth's main job is to make sure that the decor looks good and style it. My main job is to make sure the timings and everything's running. The cake
We
maker
battle.
wants to get the... So it's everybody is out for themselves, but
Yep.
equally trying to make the best wedding ever. But
Yep.
there's definitely like a bit of a who's in charge
Who's
here
in
kind of thing. It's
charge?
very...
it's more so.
FYI, it's planner.
I always win when I need to win. But no,
We had a
I don't
white,
doubt that for 1 minute.
white carpet the other day and she was like, if anybody walks on that white
was
carpet...
letting, like,
I
the
did
I was
not.
literally
You're
like-
lying. I've got
I
a
was like-
photo of the photographer doing the splits over the white carpet because you wouldn't let him stand on it.
I looked at you and I was like, get
Get
him
him
off
off.
that white carpet now. And you were like, okay,
Okay,
I
no
was
problem.
Like, just don't. Because everything for her, like Georgie will go, what's the main thing? What's most important for your wedding?
Yep.
For her, it was how it looked.
For that bride,
For that bride, she wanted the photo, she wanted it all, and I was like, right, the pressure's on me.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
It is.
definitely.
Um,
But equally, like she'll be listening to this now.
Yeah.
But it's fine. One of the tables collapsed 5 minutes before
Not
she
even
was due
3
into the
minutes.
wedding breakfast room.
Which
so
wasn't on me. Wasn't
no,
on me.
no,
It
the,
was
the legs
venue.
weren't put up. Don't say that. The legs weren't put up at the table. But I was outside about to bring the bride and groom down to come and look in the room for the first time because it was so important to them what it looked like. And then I get a phone call from my other coordinator and she's like, stall. And I was like, okay, no problem. Okay. And I was like, oh, they're just still taking some photos in here. Why don't we go and freshen up in the thing? You need a bit more makeup on. And at that point, you're trying to pick up smashed glasses. The whole tree that was on the table had fallen down. Like the pressure, because you can't redo it.
No.
And even for the TV, like it's great. It's a very entertaining TV show for some people are actually getting married.
Or it is their wedding.
Yeah.
And if anybody ever forgot that, trust me.
Oh, they knew.
Raj was telling them. Raj was like, I don't care about the cameras. I don't care about this. That's their wedding day. This is going to be perfect. And you can hear, he's only this year big. And you can hear him screaming at everyone. This is because he literally pulls off some of the biggest weddings in the country.
Yeah.
Everything has to be perfection.
Perfect.
And that is what he's got them in pursuit of.
Yeah, it's one of those, isn't it? We always say the industry is so tough for us as wedding planners, wedding suppliers, and what we do. We've got a couple of hours to get it right.
Yes.
Regardless what's happening,
Yeah.
the pressure is mad. But you absolutely bloody love weddings.
Yeah.
And you think halfway through, you're like, why am I doing this job? Why am I doing it? You get to the end, you're like, oh, that's why I do it. That's why I do it.
Do you know what's going to be great for you two, though, right? The rest of the world are going to watch this wedding programme and go, oh my God, it's really difficult.
Yeah.
God, wedding planning is hard.
They're going to have an appreciation for just how difficult
Well,
your job is.
honestly, I don't think people realise what planning a wedding is like until you get into it. And I reckon you get to that 6th month out bit where you're like, fuck this. I don't want to do this anymore. Everybody's asking me questions. Everything's going wrong. I don't know what... the main thing is you don't know what you're doing. Like, you're going to get married and you might have been to a few weddings, but nobody knows the timings. Like, why are we eating dinner at 5 p.m? That's really weird.
Yep.
In a wedding, it's not. But it's just... Until you actually do it, you don't know what you're doing. So, yeah, I mean, I bias, but I think everybody needs planners or coordinators to, like, this
Make
is
it
what's
happen.
normal. Yeah.
Were any of the couples not happy?
Oh, were they not? Did you ruin
No,
anybody's wedding day?
We
No.
did not ruin anyone's wedding.
Woohoo!
But let's just say there are a lot of stakeholders to keep happy on every wedding day, isn't there? And it is challenging.
The drama is going to
I
unfold,
can't
isn't it?
wait for the drama. There's good. Were there any were there any issues aside from filming and aside from there being were there any other issues that came up with like other people? Because there's drama at weddings anyway, whether you're filming and doing a competition or not.
You always get a bit of family drama.
Yeah.
I think. We didn't have any meddling in-laws, so that
Okay.
was a relief. But there were times when we had brides with, specific feelings on what they wanted, and sometimes grooms with specific. And I don't know about you, but there was no space for the groom having any input in mine. Like, that was my wedding. He was just an accessory coming along on the day. I am all
You were
about
lucky
that.
to be invited.
Yes, you just play your part and do what I told.
No, I
do
think
what
grooms
tell
are
you, what I
getting
tell
way
you.
more involved now.
Yeah,
Definitely.
the amount of lies I tell to the grooms. Like, I'll get a WhatsApp in the bloke, don't mention this, don't mention that, just say yeah, and we're going to change it after. Is mad at the moment. Like, it's literally mad. They're like, the amount of times they're like, yeah, Georgie's free. Georgie comes with Beth. Like, just because they've paid for her out of their own money.
Yep.
It's basically the wedding dress saga all over.
All over
Little
again.
fiddling.
I can totally believe
A
that.
couple of hours of overtime when I've paid for it. It's fine. Do you think you can DIY too much at a wedding? Do you think there's a point where you have to go, I need to let some professionals do this because there's too much?
It depends on your capacity to be able to take stuff on.
But how do you know your capacity until, like, say if the
You
amount of
don't,
stuff that
you
needs to be
will
done on the
always-
day?
You will always over it. And to me, it's the army of people you have with you.
Yeah.
So if I go back to our Helen's wedding where we DIY'd everything,
Yeah.
right? That's fine because there was me mum, there was me, then she had one of her friends helping me, Auntie Lynn had
And I'm
flown
assuming
over
she
from New
trusted you
Zealand,
lot.
and she trusted
Yeah.
us with the vision. And she's quite laid back
Okay.
as a person, my sister. So she was happy that we knew the vision, crack on, right? Whereas I think if you didn't have all of that support around, I wouldn't like to think that as a bride I was DIYing anything on the morning of my wedding. The morning of that wedding is to be enjoyed.
Yes.
Everything. It's not to be doing the last minute DIY. And I remember we went and did it all the day before, and I think our Helen found the day before quite stressful.
The day before is one of the best parts of a wedding because it is like you've got your auntie making a cup of tea for everyone.
Yep.
And I remember our day before, it was really stressful because you got a lot to do and
Yep.
everybody's asking you every single question in the world. But you then remember that you get the benefit of having this day before because that happens to a lot of people on the morning of.
So
Yeah.
you imagine if you're one of our couples on the show and you've got 8 wedding planners running around the day before,
Oh my
all trying to compete with each other,
Trying
make
to
the
be
best thing,
amazing.
because they've all tried to do a bigger, better structure than someone else.
Did any of them have a fight?
More than once.
No way. Like proper, because I don't.
Georgie, I'm sorry, if you were on this show,
I don't
you'd
think
be
I would have done
elbowing
well,
people.
yeah.
You'd be like, get out my way, I am winning.
Yeah, but it wouldn't even be the winner. It would be very much like this wedding. I'm a problem solver. Wedding planners are problem solvers. So
I remember on the first episode given a bit of feedback to one of the planners, and I'm not going to say her name.
It's
but
a
the
girl.
feedback
It's
I
a girl.
gave was there is no in team.
Okay.
And she looked at me like our world was crushed.
Oh.
But she took that so to heart, and she
Okay.
was the biggest team player
Okay.
over the next few weeks and became an even better version of herself.
Okay. All right. Okay.
The thing is, though, with weddings, none of it can happen on your own. Essentially, you need a photographer, you need a videographer, you
Yeah.
need the caterers, you need the venue, you need the florist, you need the stylist. We all have to work as a team, regardless. If we fight each other,
I reckon one
on
of
the way.
the inexperienced people won.
Mm.
Only because as a wedding planner, I have been built not to work alone, because I do work with all the different suppliers, but to make a decision and run with it. That's the
Yeah.
main plan. That's the main aim of a wedding planner. Is I will pick something with such conviction that I've just made everybody else feel like it was the right decision and go with it, so that you can't fanny around. Like, you ain't got time.
So I'll give you a couple of, not spoilers, but a couple
Go on.
bits of my insight. So I picked the winner on, like, we all had a conversation after the first wedding and was like, who do you think's going to win? I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh my God, it's totally going to be person X, right?
Okay. She looked like she was going to say a woman then.
Yeah.
So I reckon it's girl.
I was so wrong.
Oh.
That person wasn't even in the final. The two that were in the final, I would if you'd said to me they were going to be in the final on week 1, I wouldn't have believed you,
Oh.
right? And it was so close. I left that wedding on the Saturday night still not knowing which of them I thought should win.
Ooh.
That's how close. And we kind of came to loggerheads, like the three of us judges trying to decide between us.
Yeah.
I mean, it was that close.
Wow.
Did they win anything?
Yes.
What do they win?
Oh my God, it's amazing.
Oh,
So
I want it. I
Should we,
don't
get
even
them
know
on
what
the,
it is.
should we let them on the podcast?
Maybe.
Okay.
the winner gets to be mentored by Raj and basically coached and developed it. So the BBC do this amazing package where they build out their branding to launch them big style as a proper full-on wedding planner.
Wow.
Nice.
And then they get coached and mentored by Raj and then introduced into the industry
Nice.
by Raj. And I just think having that kudos
Yeah,
is
yeah,
just
yeah.
huge.
Wow.
I do think it is a lot about who you know as well. Once
Definitely.
you're in the
Mhm.
industry,
We
like,
get so many people message and be like, how do we, I've just done my wedding. The typical thing is, I've just done my wedding. I loved it. How do I get into it? You have to go and work for free, waitressing weddings. You have to go and shadow a florist. You have to go and do whatever you like. But to get a little shift in the right direction,
Yep.
to have somebody within the industry is
Huge.
like,
Give you that push
yeah.
and also to give you the kudos and the credibility
Yeah.
of you're that good.
Yeah, because there isn't really any way of recognising suppliers within the wedding industry. There's not like a,
I mean, it's what
we should be.
whatever we say, people do. Essentially,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
If,
brides
if
are-
we
Mhm.
say book this person, they book them.
They'll book it.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
it's just the kudos behind it. And it's like, I remember
It's
someone
recommendations, isn't it?
someone did an event for us for free when we launched the podcast. He left his full-time job a couple of weeks
Yes.
later,
'Cause-
just off the back of that.
Yeah, but people.
It's not what you know.
Exactly. To
Mm.
book suppliers, you need someone to say, they are very good. They will turn up to your wedding, and what they do is great, because you get one chance, one
Yep.
opportunity to.
And also it's your
like an Eminem song.
reputation on the line. Recommending
Yeah.
someone. You're only as good as the people you
Yeah.
recommend.
Oh, I better stop recommending you, Beth.
But yes, it was a great money can't buy prize.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Nice. So, what would be your top 3 tips when it comes to crafting for your wedding?
Oh, right. Okay.
I just
So-
love your accent.
Every time you say something, I'm like at the edge of the table.
Yeah, it's so like endearing, isn't it? You're like, oh, tell me more.
It's funny that nobody ever asks where I'm from. They're always like, oh, geez, a proper northeast lass through and through. Right. So, firstly, I mean, Pinterest is your best friend.
Interesting.
You know, you're gonna. To me, and it was the same every week. I wanted to know from the wedding planners what did they have on their Pinterest boards, all of this. So get it all planned out. Get your Pinterest board, but be really specific on this is the look I'm going for. Don't try and venture too wide. Right.
Mhm.
I think the second thing I would say is it's okay for it to look a bit homemade or handmade.
Okay.
Right? That is okay if you are the sort of personality type who's okay with that. It's a little bit like me, right?
I know she literally. I think she saw the disappointment
She
in my
gave a
face
point.
there.
I did.
I was
That's
Straight
like,
back at
read
Georgie,
it.
like it's okay.
I was like,
So here's the thing, right? Every year when my kids have a birthday, I make the birthday cake. I look up the cake on Pinterest. I make the cake. It never quite looks like the one on Pinterest. It's a little bit on the wonk. There'll be a burnt bit that I've cut off somewhere.
Yeah.
But when people turn up, nobody ever goes, oh my God, where did you get the cake from? They all go, oh my God, you made the cake. Yum. But it's always like, oh my God, that's so amazing that you made the cake.
I do think sometimes it's got to be obvious, because otherwise you'd be like, oh, they must have bought them.
Yes.
Like, the thought, the kind of the sentimental value disappears if it doesn't look.
And I just think the beauty of homemade stuff is that you have put your time and love into that.
Yes.
And so it's almost not as special if it's perfect, because it's got to be. It is just that look of it's homemade and it's perfect. So it's perfect in your eyes. That's all that matters, right?
And nobody leaves a wedding and goes, or nobody leaves a birthday party and goes, it was amazing, apart from that cake was a bit wonky.
Yeah.
It just doesn't.
They're all going to go away and go, oh my God, that was so amazing. Did you see Sarah made the cake?
Bless her. She's not getting any better after all these years.
And my third tip, right?
You're right.
Sorry. You're so tight.
You're so right, though.
My cakes are the same as well.
The third one is be realistic with your ambitions, right? So that year that I set out to do the 3-tier cake with Thor's hammer coming down on the top and Hulk punching through, I had not been realistic. And I spent 12 hours working through the night on that goddamn cake, and the cake looked ridiculous, right? I had been way too overly ambitious, right? It's the same at the wedding. Where I saw the wedding planners go wrong on this show is where they'd been too ambitious for what was achievable.
Yeah.
And to me, it's better to aim high, but aim high that's achievable, and then over excel, as opposed to embark on something that's you're never going to be able to achieve, and then everyone's going to look at it and go, oh, they ran out of time on that, didn't they?
I'm glad you said that, because we have a bit of an issue with Pinterest sometimes, because you look at we've talked about it on an episode before, where there's styled shoots in weddings, so they are set up. There's a fake bride and groom, or a bride and bridegroom group doing a photo shoot, and the wedding cake is outside and it's all perfect, and then that's the Pinterest photos. You can't put a cake outside in June in the field with all the farm with all the animals. Like, these are the sort of things where you need to be able to look at Pinterest, say, this is what I want my wedding to look and feel like, but then head then over to tip number 3 of being realistic with
your ambitions,
and budget. Like,
yes,
we have a massive range of budget with couples, and that's okay. Like, that's fine. It's okay to not have to compare yourself to who got my Sophia Richie. Like, as much as you might want your wedding to look like that, you probably haven't got the same budget that, what's her dad called? Lionel. Yeah, your dad ain't no Lionel.
So this is why you're going to love this show.
Okay, I'm excited.
Because we're doing everything on a budget, and they get more and more ambitious every week, but they're working with the same budget.
Yeah.
So we just show, and it's always, and the thing is, I give the little hints and tips on the crafting, and Fred gives the hints and tips on the entertainment, but it's all about how you can do it yourself, save the money, do it on a budget, and still have something that looks outstanding.
Love it. Right, we end every episode with a bitches from a bride.
Oh.
So this is where someone will send in a message, and we basically just want your opinion. Are you ready?
Hit me.
I'm getting married in 8 weeks and have spent hours DIYing my centerpieces, favours, signs and bouquets, amongst other things. One of my bridesmaids has approached me to let me know that some of the things look a bit cheap and maybe I should put a little bit more budget into the day. Is she looking out for me or just being a bitch?
Cheeky cow. Cheeky cow.
But at what point is your friend trying to be nice and being like, oh...
No, she's just being bitchy there.
But what if it genuinely looks rubbish?
Would you want your sister to come over to you and say, pet?
You've almost got the accent on there. Pet. Yeah.
That's not quite right. Do you want some help?
I think it's the way I think the fact that she said, I think you should spend a bit more money. She's made it about the money. And if she'd said, if that was me, that was my friend and I was looking, I was thinking, oh, they're not quite up to scratch. I would say, do you know what? We want the day to be perfect. I know you've been in a rush. Why don't I take a day off work and I'll come over and help you work on them a bit more? Because if we put a little bit more time into them, we could get them even better.
Cute.
That is better than going, they're a little bit shit, spend more money on them.
And we know that's how that conversation went.
Literally.
And I also would question if that person is engaged
or
or married, because I don't think married people say that.
because they know.
They know what goes into it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on
Oh,
our
loved it.
podcast.
Thank you.
Like, we could literally talk about weddings all day, every day.
Oh, yeah,
So
me too.
when season 2 of the show comes out, come back on.
Yes. Or we can come back and do a wrap up after the season and be like,
Yes.
oh my word,
Oh my
what
God,
did you
yeah,
think of
shall
Wedding
we?
5?
Let's have
Yeah.
a rundown after episode 1. We'll write down who we think wins.
Okay.
And then we'll bring it
Oh,
to
and
the
you put it in an
table.
envelope and
Yeah.
write it out.
And then we'll give it you, and you'll open an empty one, and it'll be like, sorry, you're not on the podcast.
Do we need to say when the show is airing?
Yeah, when's it out? When can we watch?
So it's going to be starting 8th of August.
Yes.
BBC 2 for 6 weeks. If you're on holiday in August at any point, do not worry. It's all going to be landed on iPlayer every week as well.
Okay.
So you can catch up if you miss a week. But trust me, you don't want to be more than a couple of days out because it's like everyone's going to be gossiping about
I
it.
know.
You don't want to be missing the gossip.
I can't wait for the drama in the wedding industry for this.
I feel like
because
for us watching it, it's going to be a whole other...
we're going to have our
thing.
2 pence on it. We're going to have to do like a weekly catch up on it.
Yes, we'll do that. We'll do a weekly catch up, and then you'll have to come back and we'll just bitch about it all.
Totally.
Amazing. I'm very excited.
I'm
I'm just
too.
going to clear all of August. Although as a wedding planner, that's not a great thing to do. Weekdays is fine. Thank you so much for coming on. It's been so nice to have you here.
I totally love your podcast. I'm like, oh my word, I'm not even getting married again. I don't know other people getting married, but I have to
Renewal.
listen.
We love a renewal. I reckon. How long have you been married?
16.
I reckon a 20-year one.
Simon.
Nah, don't tell him.
Nah, yeah,
Don't tell him.
We'll book a date night and be like, right, turn up.
Surprise wedding.
You just the accessory. He knows the drill by now.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank
Oh,
you.
it's been great. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.